People of the State of Michigan versus Mackenzie Nicole Grace, 2123727. Ms. Grace is here today for a status conference with her attorney, Mr. Gibson, and Mr. Gabriel is the prosecutor, and it's set for status today, but I understand the case is resolved. So Ms. Grace, if you'd raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Gabriel, could you state what the agreement is?
Yes, Your Honor.
What the offer is, I guess?
Yes, Your Honor. If Ms. Grace enters a plea of guilty to the substantive offense of obstructing a police officer, we will dismiss the fourth habitual. We will also make a sentence recommendation that the court not exceed the low end of the guidelines. And as I indicated to Mr. Gibson, you know, it's not a situation where if the court doesn't give the low end of the guidelines, I'm not withdrawing the plea. I'm just putting a cap on it that if the court were to decide to do more, then they could withdraw it. But I don't think that would happen.
Okay. Is that correct, Mr. Gibson?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Grace, the offer is that they would, if you would plead to the charge of obstruction of justice, they would drop the habitual offender fourth offense notice, and they would also agree to recommend that your minimum sentence not exceed the bottom end of the guidelines. Is that your understanding of the agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you currently on probation or parole?
No.
So, the charge of obstruction of justice is a felony punishable by up to 5 years and or a fine of up to $10,000. How do you plead to that charge?
Guilty.
Has anyone promised you anything other than what we've talked about in court today?
No, sir.
Anybody threaten you?
No, sir.
Are you doing this of your own free will?
Yes.
And do you understand that if I accept your plea, you'll not have a trial of any kind, and you'll be giving up all the rights that you would have had at trial? And that those include the right to be tried by a jury, to be presumed innocent, to have the prosecutor to have the burden of proof that you are guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, to have the witnesses that are going to testify against you appear in court and to be able to cross-examine those witnesses, to have any witnesses you want to appear, to be ordered by me to appear in court. You would have the right to testify at trial if you wanted to testify, or you could not testify and not have that silence used against you. You understand you're giving up all those rights by pleading guilty?
Yes, sir.
You also understand that you're giving up any potential, or you may be giving up some potential defenses by pleading guilty that would be preserved if you were to go to trial.
Yes, sir.
You also understand that an appeal after a guilty plea is by leave and not by right, which means that you'd have to ask the Court of Appeals for them to look at the case, whereas if you went to trial and were convicted, it would be an automatic appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
So tell me what happened. It's alleged that on or about April 20, oh, that's your birthday, on or about August 31st, 2020, you were in the city of Sturgis, the county of St. Joseph, in the state of Michigan. Is that true?
Yes, sir.
And that at that time, you committed the crime of obstruction of justice by giving a false name to the police officer while having warrants for your arrest. Did you give the officer a false name when they were questioning you?
Yes, I did.
Whose name did you give them?
A friend that I actually recently stay with her now, Jenna Gibson.
Okay, so you gave it the name of somebody else, and that was to avoid arrest?
Yes, sir.
All right. Are counsel satisfied that a factual basis has been established by the defendant's statement of facts?
I am, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you, the counsel, aware of any other promises, threats, or inducements?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
Has the court complied with the court rule?
Court has.
Yes.
I find the plea made is accurate, understanding, voluntary. There's a factual basis, therefore I accept the plea. Bond can remain in place. Ms. Grace, you're going to get that packet from us advising you to, to complete for the Department of Corrections. Send that back in as soon as possible. Also, make sure you check the mail at the address you gave me. Make sure you have minutes on that phone. Make sure you check your email because the Department of Corrections is going to be contacting you and they need to interview you before your sentencing. If I get a report the week of your sentencing that she didn't answer her phone, she never showed up for the interview, she never answered her mail, and we don't have the pre-sentence report done, then there's going to be a problem. And the way I resolve that problem is I say, okay, Ms. Grace, I told you to cooperate and get everything done. You're refusing to do that. You know, I know where you can be interviewed, and that's at the jail. So I don't want to have to do that, okay?
Okay.
Okay, good.
Fingerprint order.
Yeah, I was just going to ask her, Anita.
Oh, okay.
All right, so with that, we will go off the record.